So today's lesson and notes are going to be on the Bohr model. This name should be very recognizable to you because we've talked about several scientists who led to the development of the atomic theory and our current modern theory of the atom. And one of those scientists was by the name of Bohr. So we're going to go through some basics of the Bohr model. I'm going to do a few problems with you, and then you are going to be doing the rest. All right, so first of all, with some of the rules, the Bohr model is used to predict reactivity in elements. So reactivity refers to how likely an element is to form a compound with another element. So now we're not just talking about the periodic table of elements, it's how these elements combine with other elements and making other materials that we have in our world. So when looking at the Bohr model, we look at its valence electrons, the electrons on the last energy level, to determine reactivity. So first of all, when you make this model, you always draw the nucleus. So we know that the nucleus contains the neutrons and the protons, but we need to be able to write the number of neutrons and the number of protons in that nucleus. So again, we're going to be using the atomic number a lot and the atomic mass. You'll draw the first energy level, which is going to be holds a certain number of electrons, and in that first energy level we know that the number of electrons that it holds is 2. And make sure we draw these electrons in pairs. And we make sure we keep track of electrons that are put in each level, and then we are able to add those up. So this will start making sense after we do a few of these together. So remember that closest to the nucleus, that holds 2 E or 2 electrons. The second level can hold 80, 318 electrons, and 32. Okay, and you must always fill, this is very important, so we're going to put this as an asterisk here. You must always fill one level before going on to the next level. All right, so these are the rules. We've gone over them. So now, let's see if we can do some guided practice here. So in order to draw a Bohr model of these elements, you must first determine the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Once you have found this information, follow the directions to draw your model. So with carbon, we know it has an atomic number of 6, which then tells us that we have 6 protons, 6 electrons. So again, we're reviewing. Now it has an atomic mass of 12.01, so 12 minus 6 gives us 6 neutrons. So I have here 6p, 6n. Okay. Then it says, how many energy shells will we have? Well, if we're going to be putting 1, 2, that's in the first shell. And if we have to have 6 total electrons, then we're going to be putting 4 in the next shell. So that means we're going to have 2 energy levels. And it says, how many valence or outer electrons does this element have? The outer ones, which are on the outermost layer, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's do another one. So sulfur, okay, it's got an atomic number of 16, so that tells us that we have 16 protons and we have 16 electrons. Now neutrons, 32 minus 16 is 16 neutrons. So how many energy shells will we have and how many outer electrons? So we're going to first put inside, we'll do this, we'll put our 16p, and 16n. So then we're going to have our first shell. We got 2. And we're going to go to the next shell. So we're going to have There's 2 again. There's 4, 6, 8, 10. So we're up to 10 electrons. So it looks like we need to go to another shell. So we're 10. So then we're 12, 14, 16. And I'm drawing them in pairs. So it says how many energy shells will we have? Looks like we used 3 out in that electron cloud. And it says how many valence outer electrons does this element have? Well, we have 2 in the first, 8 in the second. That's 10, so that leaves us with 6 on the outer shell. So that is sulfur. All right, so lithium, a little easier. Okay, so lithium has the atomic number of 3. So that gives us a lot of information. That means we have 3 protons, 3 electrons. Oops. The number of neutrons, well, so it's 6.9 minus 3, 3.9. Let's say 4 neutrons. So we're going to put 4N and 3P on the inside of our nucleus. So then we're going to draw our first shell. I'm doing my electrons in red just so these will show up a little better. So I'm going to put 2 electrons in the first shell, which then requires us to have another energy level or other shell, which only has 1 lonely one. And so this is going to be when we start talking about bonding and chemical reactions. This is going to be helpful to us, and it's also going to tell us a lot about the location of these elements on the periodic table, because we're going to start seeing some patterns. All right, so how many energy shells? This one has 2, and it only has 1 lonely valence electron. All right, so I've done 3 with you. So we have neon, phosphorus, and sodium. So I want you to do 3 on your own. And I have given you some hints on a couple of the other ones.